The wheat straw is the food for the mushrooms, and it comes in large bales. So if we chop it into smaller bits, then it grows a lot more mushrooms. Up to 40% more mushrooms will come out of the process this way. So once it's all chopped, it needs to be raked up and thrown into a box. It's important to use this straw quickly because if you leave it sit around, it'll start to mildew, and that'll make for a smelly situation. Once you've got the straw in the smaller pieces and it's ready to be prepared, you have to pasteurize it. So you start with hot water because that way you don't have to use propane to get it really, really hot. So if you start out of the sink with hot water, all you have to do is turn the nozzle and throw a match on it, and the next thing is it's going to be heating the water. Pasteurization is important because it releases endospores while the straw is heating, and it cleans those endospores so they don't later reinfect the mushroom spawn. You have to compress it to make sure that it's all being pasteurized. Pasteurization occurs at 160 degrees, and the water needs to stay at 160 degrees for 1 hour. Once it's reached that stage where it's cooked for an hour, you have to pour off the water. Be careful not to pour it near plants because it's toxic to plants. And once the straw is completely drained of water, you make sure you have a table that's been cleaned twice with alcohol, and you dump the straw onto the table and let it cool almost to room temperature, because the spawn, if it's too hot, it can basically die and it won't grow mushrooms. So you sift through the straw, making sure you've got it cool enough. We have special bags that we put the straw into. You have to really compress it into the bag because leaving spaces will allow contamination to get in. And you mix the straw with the spawn. So it's just layered, a little bit of spawn, a lot more straw, a little bit of spawn, a lot more spawn. And the next thing, the bags need to be compressed really well. And once they're compressed, you take some ties and seal it off really well, making sure there's no air spaces. Once that's completed, you need to poke holes in the bag. Hopefully you have a nail to do that with, and you just space it out all over the bag. And that gives the spawn the ability to breathe because it's a living organism and it needs fresh air.